All right, good evening, everybody. It is 7 o'clock exactly. I'd like to open the October 22nd Wakefield Conservation Commission meeting. First thing is we will do a roll call. And Teresa. Oh, Teresa, you are muted.
Oh, sorry.
There you
Here,
go.
sorry.
Okay. Silvana,
How you doing? Here.
Peter,
Here.
Ken,
Here.
Frank,
Present.
Jimmy,
I'm here.
and I know Judy has joined us. Is Elaine? I don't see Elaine yet. Judy, do you know if Elaine's going to join us?
I believe so.
I think so.
Okay, we'll give her just a moment. I see Ali has joined us also.
Hello.
Hello.
Bob, what's your first name there?
Something weird is happening with this computer. This is my wife's name. When I went to join the meeting, it said the meeting had already been started by somebody else.
Hmm.
And I had to go through a different way to launch this thing. And then it popped up with her host name when she does Zoom calls.
Oh, I was sure if that was your real name. It's like, just call me Bob.
Bob, just so you know, it always shows up with her name.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Oh, I never noticed that before.
So I don't know how this is happening. My computer, her name, my Best Buy account's been overtaken by her. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. All right, Elaine is not there. We're gonna start. So we did roll call. First item is the approval of the minutes from 10/28. Does anybody have any comments or corrections or would like to make a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move to approve them.
Likewise.
All right, do I have a second?
Yes.
I think so. You said
I
yes.
just said yes. Yes, likewise with me.
Okay. All right, let's see. All in favor? Ken,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Silvana,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yeah,
Frank,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
I also vote yes. All right, next up is DEP 313592. This is 50 Corner Power Parkway. Abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, continued public hearing. And let's see. Is Brian? I don't know if Brian's there. Brian, you on? There's Elaine. All right, Mr. Manzo, do you know if Brian's joining us?
I expect he will, and I just texted him to remind him that the meeting's on. He knows
Okay.
about it.
All right, while we wait for that, we can, cover a couple of other old business items. Either Elaine or Judy, you want to fill us in on 47 Montrose Ave?
Hello? Hello? Can you
Hello?
hear me?
I
Yeah,
think Elaine has that.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Elaine?
I think she's trying to connect to audio. That's what it says on mine.
Oh, I see Brian has just joined us also.
Are you on? Well, Brian, it's Mike Manzo. They were waiting for you to jump onto the Zoom meeting. Okay, all right. Okay. The chairman just, yeah. Oh, okay. All right,
Brian, you on mute.
all right, good. Okay, I'll let you know.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah, I said, I apologize. I had a little power outage this morning. I had some work being done and I didn't reset the clock, so I thought it was 6:50.
Oh,
That and the dog ate your homework.
And I sat down and looked at my cell phone. I go, 7:02. Sorry, I apologize.
That's okay.
Thanks.
We're having our own technical difficulties here too.
Somebody's echoing.
Is that Jimmy?
I don't know if it's me. I don't even have a picture.
That appears to be Elaine.
What's the matter? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, Elaine, I can hear you. There is some,
Oh, finally.
there is
I
some
think you're
echo
echoing.
going on.
I think, Elaine, if you mute yourself in the interim, you should be okay.
Yeah, I've got you now, Frank.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think it's.
I just lost you.
I'm on the thing, Diane.
Whoa.
All right, so actually, let's go back to 50 Corner Parkway.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I?
Sure, go ahead, Brian.
Great. So thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Mike Manzo is with me tonight. I think John Ogren is on here somewhere. Maybe, maybe not. Oh, there he is.
He is.
Hollywood Squares. Hi, John. To refresh the commission's memory, that Mike has been talking to his architect to see if he can come up with a conceptual plan that will respect the Fletcher line. That, you know, would allow us to basically avoid a dispute over that line. And, you know, with the understanding that, you know, the commission would consider giving us some relief from the 25-foot policy with maybe some other wetland improvements on the property. That would all have to be determined. Mike has had an opportunity to meet with his architect, and they haven't come up with a final plan, but I think they're pretty encouraged that it's something that they can accomplish. They would like to pursue that to try to accomplish that goal. And so our suggestion would be that we would request that our application for the determination be withdrawn without prejudice. And then Mike would go back with his architect and kind of finalize some conceptual plans on, you know, where his location would be, his improvements would be in relation to the Fletcher line, and some conceptual ideas of other stuff that he might be able to do to improve the property. And then we would come back to the commission and get on your agenda to have a discussion about that prior to filing a notice of intent. Just, you know, so we're not, you know, we kind of make sure that we're on the same page. And then if we were, we would file a notice of intent that would show the Fletcher line, and in essence, at the end of the day, whatever project that Mike decided to pursue. In the event Mike can't accomplish this, or, you know, don't forget, Mike is not the owner of the property. He has under agreement that for some reason he doesn't go forward, which I doubt very much would happen. Then everybody would just be in the same position they are today. And, you know, you would be saying to the owner of the property, we think it's the Fletcher line, or whoever was replacing Mike, but I don't think that that's going to happen. Mike and I spoke in detail today, and he's pretty confident that he's going to move forward with something here, a proposal that is going to respect the Fletcher line. Does that make sense, Mike? Do you think I captured it?
Yeah, I think that's accurate, Brian. Thank you for the summary. We've worked on it. I'm confident we can accomplish what Brian has outlined, and I think the strategy of pulling back and coming back in the near future with something more definitive makes sense.
And we really want to show kind of some conceptual ideas to the Conservation Commission on how we're going to respect that line, how we're going to ask you to consider the 25-foot policy, some ideas before filing a notice of intent. We would like your thoughts on that before we go to the expense of putting those final plans together. And we know you won't be able to make a final decision, obviously, until there's a notice of intent filed. So, you know, we wouldn't ask you, oh, is this okay? You're good. But we want your input. with that process. So that's how we'd like to approach it. And if the commission's okay with that approach, we would request that the application for determination of the resource delineation, I should say, application be withdrawn without prejudice, and that you would vote to agree with that or allow that. And then I would send a letter to Elaine confirming that tomorrow morning.
I'm not familiar with the procedures, but is that, I mean, historically, have we done that before?
I think an application.
By the way, Brian, it seems to me to be completely reasonable, and all I wanted to do is just understand. I just wanted to see if there's before, whether there's any contrary consideration why we would do that.
We have done that before, maybe only, I don't know, once or twice that I can think of, but it certainly has happened.
Yeah, we honestly would like to avoid an argument over the line. You know, it's kind of like our perspective is, you know, you kind of have to have something to fight for. And if we can respect the line and that's what you want, then just let's do it that way. And then there's no disputes or disagreements.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding that request?
Elaine, can you speak as to precedents for doing this? I'm talking about coming back again. It seems reasonable to me, having them come back in an informal way to talk about it before they formally do the notice of intent.
Yes. Sorry.
Elaine's having technical difficulties.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ah, finally. You know, it never seems to be the same week to week. So yes, it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon at all to withdraw a filing. There really is no problem with it.
No.
And certainly to have an informal discussion.
That part is fine.
What's the question?
But
What's the question?
the second part is having them come talk to us informally before they file a notice of intent.
Yes, I think so, especially on large projects. It makes a lot of sense. And I know we do it in Winchester all the time. It just, it makes a lot of sense. And then you still have the notice of intent process, but at least it lets the applicant know if he's in the ballpark before he spends what would be on a project this large an awful lot of money.
Thanks, Elaine.
Yeah, sure. So we have had these discussions in the past with other projects.
No, again, as Peter said, it makes sense to me too.
Yeah.
And I think Elaine, you might know better than me, but I think we would also have to notify DEP. Does that make sense? That we are withdrawing.
Yeah, I would send a CC to DEP for their files.
Okay.
DEPCC, I got it.
Are there any further questions or comments?
Yeah, I can understand you people.
Elaine, I think you're still causing some feedback. There we go.
Thank you, Elaine.
Okay, I can hear now. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's a good, the only thing I want to say is I think that's a reasonable way to go. I think the only thing you have to understand is they're going to be looking for some type of relief on that 25-foot buffer. So everyone should keep that in the back of their mind. But all in all, it sounds like a reasonable way to go.
Yeah,
Yep.
agreed.
I agree. And I think there's so much space between the tree line and where the line is right now to do some significant plantings or other, other improvements in that area.
That's a good point. Would somebody like to make a motion? Because we do have to vote on the withdrawal.
What if we vote no? Do they have to continue with the NRED?
I'd like to
They can
make,
still withdraw their application. They can still withdraw.
Right.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the applicant's request to withdraw without prejudice its application.
Do I have a
Second,
second? Is that a second, Teresa?
it was, I'm sorry, I beat you to it.
Okay. All
You
right.
beat me to it.
All right, Ken,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. I did get everybody. Oh, Savannah, sorry.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we are good.
Great, thank you. And Elaine, so I'll send you a letter either tomorrow or Monday confirming that, and we'll copy DEP. And I guess we'll see you in a little bit, right, Mike, when we
Yep.
try to figure out what
Thank you, everyone.
what we're gonna do.
It's a good solution.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate the cooperation. Have a good
All right,
night.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Wait, before you go,
Yes,
before you sign off, I have emails here from Peter Fletcher about an invoice. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. I have an email from Peter Fletcher, just touching base before I submit my final invoice. Have you gotten a copy of this, Brian?
no, I haven't seen that, but I'll forward it to Mike, Elaine, if you want to send it to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Do you want Mike to pay him directly,
Okay.
Elaine? Does Mike just send him a check directly and copy you on it?
Mm.
Yes, I think isn't that the way we set it up?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get
Okay.
the invoice. We'll
All
get
right.
it.
we'll pay him and then we'll
Okay,
we'll let you know when that's done.
okay.
Great.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice night. Thank you.
My sound is still messed up. I don't know what's causing.
We think it might be Elaine causing that.
So I'm not getting everything you're hearing, saying, so.
I just muted Elaine to do a test.
Jim, what about now? I think Elaine is calling on her phone. I think somehow that's doing it.
Right, I just muted her and it seems to be fine now. I'm gonna unmute Elaine. Let's see.
It's a test. Right.
Yeah. Huh.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I think I was holding the telephone too close to the laptop. If I move back a little bit, I think that seems to help.
Yes, that
Just
was
having these two devices close to each other.
I think you have to mute the laptop.
Yeah, mute one of them.
Yes.
yeah, there's a delay. Yeah, either turn the volume all the way down on a laptop or mute it, and I think that will resolve it because there is a 1 second delay.
Elaine, why do you have a phone and a laptop?
Probably so she can look at paperwork, filings, and plans and everything else.
Microphone on the computer.
Elaine, is it a laptop or a computer? A desktop or a laptop? Oh, she's muted.
Right. We'll never know.
Hmm.
Is Elaine is doing the 47 Montrose Ave update and the Shady Ave update, probably?
Yes, she-
All
All right,
Elaine.
you're just gonna have, all right, I'm gonna turn down the computer volume.
Yeah, all the way.
Okay, is that better?
I
Yes.
think it is.
Okay,
think-
good. Well, I
We're
seem
good.
to have it then. Okay, good. So the next thing would be the 26 Shady Avenue update. Is Jonathan Bean here? No, he's not. Okay, I spoke to him this afternoon.
Oh, he's here.
I think he's there.
Oh, he is
He's
here.
on mute.
Okay. All right. So I spoke with him this afternoon. To bring you up to date, Jim and I went on a site visit. I guess it must be 2 weeks ago now, to his property. And we worked out a proposal and a plan whereby he would get someone to remove the sections of the fill that had been put into place. And once that had been done.
There was no fill put in place.
Oh, all right. Well, forgive me. Hold on. Let me look at my notes here. 1 second. Okay. Property owner will remove all areas filled with mulch. Property owner will establish limit of work line in the rear of the property, and there are 2 trees in the rear of the property which mark it. Soil below that line will be removed. So forgive me, I should have said soil instead of fill. And that
I'd like to go over
soil.
the details.
I'm sorry, what?
I think I'd like to go over the details.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, let me finish reading my notes from the meeting,
Okay.
and then we can go back. So what I have was the soil below that line, which is the soil on the wetland side of the line, would be removed and stored above the limit of work line on the property. Once that's done, and the mulch is removed and the soil is brought down to its pre-issue levels, that would be low enough that the area could be planted next spring. And what we were talking about was looking at the forested area on the other side of the stream, which has red maples, willows, American elms, and what we were talking about was getting stakes and putting stakes in the area and allowing it to reforest and regrow. And then also, if we get on it early enough in the spring, it would allow some of the natural vegetation to regrow, because I think there are a lot of seeds in there before that soil was spread, and it would give the area an opportunity for the natural vegetation to spring back, which would also help with the problem.
Mhm.
And that's what I have from my notes from the meeting on October 1st.
Jimmy,
That's
you have
it.
anything?
That's all I have.
Anything extra, Jimmy, to add?
The only thing I think we talked about also was where were they gonna put the bark mulch? Didn't we say something about that, Elaine? Hello?
I'm here. I'm just looking at I'm flipping back to my notes. All I have in my notes is remove mulch from all areas that have the mulch.
Okay, so we were gonna remove them back to the limit of work line, I would think.
I think I can. I'm not sure that's possible.
Okay. Tell me why you think that.
Well, I don't know if it's safe to do so. And I don't have the money or means to do so. And I don't think it's fair that the town imposed these restrictions on me without any posting of, the seller needs to disclose this. The town needs to do a better job explaining that this can't be done. I push my property line only as far back as my neighbors. My neighbor who put these photos out there, which were taken out of context, filled in a swimming pool in her backyard. I've yet to face my accuser. She hasn't showed up at one of these meetings. And I've done everything that the town has asked. I've put up borders. I've stopped work. I think I'd like to renegotiate the terms. Town needs to do a better job of telling people what they can and cannot do when they buy a house in this town. I'm saying my neighbor's moving next year. He throws hand grenades, pictures used out of context, and doesn't show up to any of these meetings. And you take her word for it. I've been here for everything. I've done everything the town's asked me. I cannot remove that mulch. It's too much work, and it's not safe for me to do so, and I don't have the money to do it.
When you closed on that house, it should have all come up from whoever the attorney was that helped you close.
And I asked the attorney, is this conservation land? And they told me it was not.
Well,
Someone got a permission to build a house on that property.
Well, a house can be
I
built.
motion for this case to be dismissed.
well, let me say this at least. First of all, I can't really understand what's going on. I'm still getting a lot of static and stuff. But
Elaine, do you have a
if-
mute button on your, not just the volume down, but a whole entire mute button on your computer? Because I think maybe that's what's doing it.
Yeah, Elaine is muted now.
okay, I mean, the fact is that, you know, we're not allowed to have any loss of BBW. And with the mulch that's in there, it's obviously that it's been disturbed. So as a minimum, you're gonna have to do something with that. And it wouldn't be just us telling you that, I'm sure it'd be the state as well. The rest of it, I think we've been very good at trying to negotiate with you what should be done. I thought Elaine took a lot of time and explained a lot of it to you. And I thought it was sufficient to have you understand what was going on. But there's certain things we have to do as a minimum. And I mean, we're willing to work with you as far as timing and stuff like that, but it does have to be done. It's just the regulations don't allow you to do anything other than remove the material or replace it or
I did nothing that my neighbors didn't do, and there's nothing telling me that I can't do this. I went on the town website and there was nothing saying that I can't do this. I cleared my property as far back as my neighbor's property goes.
It has no relationship to your neighbor's property. It's just got a relationship to you. What you've done is not sufficient, you know, it's against the Wetlands Protection Act. I mean, we have to have you restore some of this area. We're trying to make it feasible for you to restore it in the least expensive way.
I'm willing to do some work, but I think that the demands of the town are too harsh on someone that who I went out of my way to ask in permission from my lawyers. I went on the town's website. There's nothing saying that I couldn't do this. And a neighbor who is vindictive against me, who hasn't showed up to any of these town meetings, can throw hand grenades. She's moving next year. She's not even going to be here. I'm going to stay in this town. I'm going to vote in every single election that this town has. And I'm an upstanding citizen. I work hard. I've earned everything that I had. Nothing's been handed to me. I backbreaking work, you know, earning this house, maintaining this house, fixing my property up, you know, which is what I thought we were supposed to do during COVID. And, you know, invest in the town, invest in the property. I'm willing to work with you, but I think that the demands are too harsh. And I don't think that I can remove all that mulch. I can do my best to try to get some of it out of there, but I think it's unreasonable, some of the demands that are being demanded of me right now.
Well, this isn't the town. This is state regulations that we're talking about.
Mhm.
Not.
Why did my lawyer lie to me?
We're acting as a local agent, but it's a state regulation.
Someone built that house there when that was within 100 feet of the wetlands.
You can do that.
They didn't need to disclose this when you buy a house in town. You need to have something on your website that says that you can't do this. I didn't do anything my neighbors didn't do. There's a car in the next yard over from mine that's sitting there. No one's asking them to remove the car. No one's asking, you know, she filled in her swimming pool in her backyard. Just because she's vindictive against me, that all of a sudden I could be in jeopardy of foreclosing on my house because I have a neighbor who's upset about, I don't know why. I've been nothing but nice to these people.
Well, closing attorney would have found all of this out. So
I asked Swift.
don't know what happened there.
Well, Bob, not necessarily. It's not up to a closing attorney to determine if there's wetlands. I mean,
Hudkins
that's
Law.
a science-based, determination. There's no attorney that would say, there's the wetland right at that line, you can't do anything.
Well,
The
yeah,
point is,
They looked on the deed, sir, and on the deed, it did not say, I said.
it doesn't
I
need to be
specifically
identified
asked
on the
for
deed.
Conservation land.
No requirement for it to be
on the deed.
identified on the deed.
It's state law, and you have to know state law. There's no other way to put it. And did you call the town before you did anything? Did you call the town?
I went on the town website.
Call the town, because the town would have told you. If you called the building inspector, if you called anyone, they would have told you.
Well, in the Concom website would have directed you to the regulations, and the regulations are not easy to read. So, you should have called the town and asked, what can I do? These
Right.
regulations are complicated. Elaine gets those calls all the time and, helps out to the maximum extent she can. I think what we laid out for remedy in this issue is the bottom, is the minimum that we're going to require.
Can I ask you, are you saying that nobody, when you were doing all this, that no one said, hey, you shouldn't be doing that? Nobody told you, none of your neighbors?
Correct,
said-
100% correct, yes.
Not one person
Yes.
watched you do it. And
I removed poison ivy, and poison
all that-
sumac that was imposing on my property. And I went back as far as my neighbor's properties to a rock wall.
No, I'm not talking about what they did. I'm just saying, did anyone say?
I've been maintaining.
No one said, hey, you shouldn't be doing that.
Well, his
No
neighbor
one
did.
said that.
Your neighbor did approach you. You said that at the last meeting or one of the prior meetings. That your
Yeah,
neighbor
that's
said
what
you
I
should
thought.
do it.
I would have thought they would have told you, and I think you probably told them off. Isn't that what you?
Well, and she also had a problem with me putting a roof on my house.
Okay.
I'm
not like
a
this
fixer
out of
upper.
the blue,
I'm a first-time home buyer.
but it's
All of this is
how
interesting.
implausible it sounds to me that out of the blue, people telling you shouldn't be doing that. You get angry with them, and then you tell us, I had no idea. I mean, when someone says that, don't you say, well, isn't it possible they're right?
Well,
I mean,
she's
what I'm
a school
saying is
teacher
that
who's
you're
been
saying
home
that-
during COVID
that
with
you're a
nothing better to
victim
do than
because
make videos
nobody-
in the backyard.
Told you that. I guess what I'm saying, it just seems implausible to me that this came as a complete surprise to you.
Well, I asked my lawyer, sir, when I bought the house, is this conservation land? And my lawyer told me that it was not. Hudkins Law
Well,
out of New Hampshire. You
it's
can
not
ask them.
conservation
Yeah.
land, it's
And
wetland.
by the way, the fact that you asked your lawyer certainly would suggest. And then when someone else comes to you, I mean, the fact that you asked your lawyer suggests to me that you had a hunch.
I bought the house, sir, and I inquired about the
wouldn't ask,
property when I bought the house.
I mean, I wouldn't ask someone if I knew, I guess what I'm saying is it's hard for me to believe that you were totally sandbagged and there just doesn't seem plausible to me. I gotta say.
Well,
I think you told us that your neighbor approached you when you were, moving mulch or whatever was put in the back.
they yelled at me when I was putting a roof on my house. They came out and said that I can't put a roof on my house, that a sign needs to be posted. I posted a sign, I pulled a permit, and they had a problem with that.
We can't help any of that stuff. It's not really anything that we're going to deal with. I mean, we're trying to make a plan for you, and we're trying to do it as economically as possible.
Thank you.
The fact is that you're going to have to take some of that material out of there. That fill, not so much the fill, the mulch.
I'll do what's possible.
But I mean, and I don't think you're going to get any better out of the state. If you go to the state, you're sure welcome to go to the state if you don't like what we're saying. But I think we're being more than reasonable for what we see out there.
I disagree. I think you're not being reasonable, and I think that there needs to be. I've done everything that you've asked of me. I've put up hay bales all around my property. I've stopped work. No work has taken place at all since I received the enforcement. I've done everything. I've attended every meeting I've been asked to attend. I've done everything that's been asked of me. I think that I'm working with you. But some of these demands, I don't have.
Excuse me, we asked you.
And
We're asking you to take the mulch out. How can you say to us, "I've done everything that's asked"? We just asked you, and you said, "No, I'm not doing it."
my father died last week. I don't have time to go up there.
Whoa. I'm just saying that you say, I've done everything that's asked. We're asking you to do things and you're saying no. So are you going to tell me now? Are you going to tell me now again, I've done everything that's asked? Because that just doesn't have, it's frustrating to hear you say that when we're asking you to do something and you're telling us no.
I'm telling you, it's not possible for me to do it.
Okay, but you're not doing everything that we're asking. Just so admit it then. You're not doing everything that's asked. And then we can say it and rather don't say the opposite. It's frustrating to me. I'm sorry. I don't.
You have to admit, we've been trying to work with you at every possible instance here. And, we can certainly defer you to the state and, they're not going to be willing to work with you. I think that's where you're in danger of potentially losing your house to the fines that they'll impose. They take this stuff very seriously. We want to see you do what you can do. And whether you do it all at once or you do it in phases, it needs to be done. There's no yes or no about it. You can't not do the work. That has to be removed by the letter of the law. So there's no telling us, no, you can't do that. We can defer to the state and, we're not wasting our time. I mean, that's the bottom line. If anybody else has anything to add,
Well, the only thing I can say is that we're being flexible with the time. We're telling you can do this stuff in the spring. It's not like you have this big expenditure to do right now. You can phase this in, but something has to be done.
I'll do the best that I can, but I sometimes feel like nothing's good enough. Like when
you haven't done anything yet. What have you
I've been
done
losing
yet?
sleep over this.
Nothing's been done.
I think, I don't know if there's too much more we can say. If you're willing to go along with us, if you need to discuss any more issues you can discuss them with Elaine and we'll try to resolve whatever the issue is. But I think we should put together a plan with timeline on it and use the enforcement order to do that, to get this moving. Anything that you can add that would help with the financial part of it, we're willing to be flexible. I mean, we don't want to hurt you monetarily. We're just trying to do what we're supposed to do.
I would add this: I'm broke, and this is COVID, and 33% of the Americans can't afford to pay their rent right now.
Okay, so we won't have you do the work right now. I think Elaine gave a time frame anyways, didn't she? Starting in the spring or something like that. So we're talking, you're not even going to put any money out right now. As a matter of fact, it's probably better that you don't, because I do believe that there's vegetation growing on the banks that's recent. So I think in the spring, it's going to be a lot more growth than what you see there now.
Didn't we have a contractor who was willing to, have him use his Bobcat? I thought that's where we were. I mean, it could be done by hand. I know it's a lot.
I'll do it with a 5-gallon bucket and a shovel.
Okay.
All right.
Elaine,
what
I think Elaine was trying to say something. Elaine?
I don't even get a picture of Elaine.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So what we had spoken about this afternoon was to speak again around early spring, around the 1st of March. And around the 1st of March, we would have an idea of what was growing up naturally. We would also we would also have the time to take a look at buying bare root trees, which are really inexpensive, or stakes, which are more inexpensive still. So at a very minimal cost, we can get it revegetated. So that leaves the issue of removing the fill, moving the fill back up the hill again. And I think maybe the 1st of March would be a better time to see how the situation evolves and come back and revisit it the 1st of March and see what can be done, if not immediately upon perhaps over time, talking about getting that dirt moved back where it needs to be. The other thing I wanted to say was perhaps the reason you don't see anything about this in the deed is that the house may well have been built before the Wetlands Protection Act. So it would never have shown up on the deed, as well as your neighbor's work may have been done before the Wetlands Protection Act was passed. So that may be why you don't see anything regarding her property. But I think if we revisit this again in early spring, we can't do anything now, but if we revisit it again in early spring, I think we'll be in a better position to see what can be done then, all around.
Thank you, Elaine.
That sound
So
reasonable?
March 1st?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So Elaine, you'll reach out.
Yes, March 1st. And I will also take care of notifying DEP so that they also defer action until spring.
Elaine, are we doing this under an enforcement order or just an agreement?
So far, it's being done under an enforcement order.
Okay.
Motion to remove the enforcement order and work upon an agreement.
No. No, the enforcement order is the vehicle that we use.
Can I leave now?
Yeah, Elaine, you don't have anything else, do you?
I have nothing more, no.
So yes, you're all set then for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good night. All right, next up is 47 Montrose Ave. Elaine, is that you also?
Yes, that's also me. Also an enforcement order. And hold on, let me just pull the file. Is Mr. Aversa here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So this is an enforcement order because there was work that was being done in the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland, and the extent of activity as noted in the enforcement order says filling in bordering vegetated wetland or buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetland and removal of vegetation in violation of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act. And that was written, what?
Was that substantiated?
No, let me finish.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
thank you.
that was written. That was written because I could only see the property from the street.
Okay.
And I didn't have the right to go on the property. So I wrote the enforcement order up, and then I went to give it to Mr. Aversa last Friday, I guess it was. And when I went out there on Friday, I had a chance to get on the land. And what I saw was that there really wasn't much filling. There was some dirt being moved around, but I didn't see that a wetland had actually been filled in. There were trees that had been removed, and when I spoke to him about it, what he told me was that the house had caught fire because trees had rubbed up against an electrical line, shorted out the line, and set the house on fire. Correct. So after the house caught fire and they went to collect from the insurance company demanded that certain trees which were in close proximity to that electrical line be removed. And those were the trees that had been cut down that we had seen in the street. So at that point, I said, all right, come in and talk to the Conservation Commission and see where we want to go from here. And that brings us to tonight.
Thank you.
I think the first thing I'd want to see is letter from the insurance company.
Hey, Bob, can I share the screen?
Yeah, let me allow that.
I'm new to this, so bear
You
with
look
me.
relatively current. Oh. There we go.
Okay, should be good.
Is this the property?
Yeah, that's it. I'm looking at the same thing also at Google.
Hmm.
There's a pole right out in front with the transformer. Right before Mackenzie Lane. Yep, there's a pole with the transformer.
There is also a pole inside the property that's roughly 35 feet away from the house. And the wire from that pole goes through the trees all the way, and then it goes from that pole underground to the house.
Are these the wetlands here to the right?
No.
of the driveway?
No, if you go all the way to the right of the lot where you're standing, all the way down, there's a watershed. I guess you have a pond, a detention pond back on the other streets. And when that floods up and over, it relieves itself and it works its way through my brother's property, and it goes to the Saugus River eventually, is from my understanding. And that's been there.
This river runs
for what-
behind
Yeah.
Mackenzie and
Runs closer to what, Sycamore? It's on the other side, not the Mackenzie side. It's on the other, yeah, further down. And matter of fact, the town has been in there multiple times. They go in and they dredge it out and clean it out with machines. They've been, the last time was like 4 years ago. They drive in with the rubber tire backhoe and they clean it out to maintain the flow.
Mhm.
yeah, Frank, the Saugus River would be at 12 o'clock in that view.
Yeah, this has been happening a lot lately. Let's see.
Do you have a drawing up there or what? I've got a blank screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my fault. Oh, here's the stream. That stream was actually better in the other map.
Yeah.
Okay. If you see the lot line, if you're looking from Mont Road to the right, the actual, you can see where the water flows across and down through. It goes right along the right-hand border. And the trees that we were talking about, if you look where it says, shows the house, they were basically on the, if you're looking from the front door, the left side forward. And they go over to the right side. The pole is on the right side of the front of the house.
And I think that's what we were looking at earlier.
Yep. And you can see from the vegetation, this heavily treed, obviously. To give you the whole story, my brother's wife suffered cancer for multiple years and she passed actually like 6 years ago, but he has never forgotten it, and he neglected the property for a while, so the trees did get overgrown. So.
Were these the trees taken down did you say they were taken down because of the proximity to the wires?
That was when we ground the trees up, that was the bark, not the mulch from it. That's all high, that's right on the street line before we got rid of it. That's where we set the grinder. Now like I said, we had to clear out the ones near the electrical wire itself, because I think what happened, to tell you the truth, they used to enter the property from the driveway to go in there, and they used to drive down a path in front of those trees. And I'm not sure if that weakened them or whatever, but the two that did fall were right in that track line. and they fell into the wires. And unfortunately, they didn't break the wire. They sat on the wire and the wind was blowing. And the action of the trees actually cut what they call the grounding cable or the support cable into the conductor. So the electricity literally went through the house in reverse. So nothing went through the breaker panel, and the whole house became a big conductor. Every wire in the house became live and almost like a toaster, and melted every wire in the house. Actually, my brother, luckily, the smoke detectors went off because of the smoke from the PVC melting produces a black smoke. It's actually deadly. He got out of the house in time, luckily. So the whole house had to be cleared out, all the walls, and tear out all the electrical wires. We had to run a new underground cable, and the town actually put the cable back up, spliced it, and put it back.
Elaine, is
like
there
I
anything we need to do there?
Now, we are going to be submitting a request. Actually, we hired Mary Rimmer to come out, and she's going to delineate the wetlands, because one of the things I wanted to do, because it was put in a garage, and also to help my brother, because they're not getting much money out of the insurance company, is that we have like 4, I think just under 4 acres. We potentially might subdivide it and get him an additional lot so he can regain some of the losses. So we're going to submit a possible subdivision.
So who was it that actually took down the trees? Was it the
Me.
town?
Oh no, I'm a contractor. I built the house back in 1986. Actually, I cut the trees down myself. Yes.
Okay.
Very capable. Yep. I did bring my machines in there because one of the trees was actually 15 feet away from the house and was 75 feet in height. So that was when, I had to get, that's why I have, Elaine will tell you, I have a big excavator there, is to make sure the tree didn't fall on the house. So we did go in from behind it to hold it back down. And, we did follow that tree. That's the one she saw up on the left, one of the 3.
So were the trees were removed for the line coming through, or
the tree? Yeah, the telephone lines are right there behind it. So I removed all the ones that were like close proximity. There's actually 2 more that still they told me to remove. And then, like I said, there was one big 75-footer, which was potentially dangerous to fall on the house as well as fall on the electrical lines. So those are the ones I was told to take out.
Elaine, are the trees actually in the wetland? Hello?
She's muted. There she
Hi, I should be unmuted now.
Yep.
Most of the trees are up off the wetland. I think maybe there's maybe 2 tops that are in the wetland itself. But I'd have to go back and double check to be absolutely sure. The bulk of them are up above the wetland.
Mm-hmm. Just they're above.
How many trees are involved, Elaine? Roughly, were cut?
Maybe half a dozen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There's 5 or 6, and there's 2 more remaining that are precarious that should be addressed.
Do you have a letter from the insurance company telling you what trees you
Yes.
take down?
No, they
Can
go.
you supply that to us?
Yes, I can. Yeah, there was condition if we didn't remove the trees, they would cancel to terminate the insurance policy.
Okay. I just want to see the letter.
Yep.
Okay. Well, why don't we, what do you want to do now? You want to wait? What are you asking? Permission to take down more trees, or?
No, like I said, what's going to be happening is Mary is going to be out there hopefully this week, and we'll have a true delineation of the wetlands. And at that point, like I said, I was also going to file for a permit to build a garage. Okay. So we will be bringing that before you anyways, because I got a feeling, obviously within the 100 foot, we're going to be in that zone. So whatever, It'll
Right.
still be up where the house is. It'd still be on the upland that was, always there. We're not going anywhere near the wetlands, but it will be probably within the 100-foot zone of the river acts and all that. So, it will be presented, which I intended to do anyways. Like I said, the only thing that prompted this was probably because of the fact that we did cut those trees down.
Yeah, okay. That house was put in under a file. I don't remember what file it was, but I would like to look at the original file and see where the wetland was then versus what it turns out to be now. That's just a note to Elaine. Maybe we could check that out.
As I mentioned, you have been in there, the town has been in there multiple times, and they have opened up fingers off that, from where the river flow or whatever that tributary is. They've actually dug in some finger areas to relieve it. So I didn't know,
Well, that was probably mosquito control that's doing that.
Oh, was that who's doing that? Okay, I was just curious because they were in there about a week.
Yeah.
And they were cutting away and pulling back and doing all that. I didn't know.
Yeah, they're allowed to do that.
Okay, yeah, okay, I didn't know. I just thought they were opening up the flow for the tributary. So
Well, they're doing that too. That helps eliminate the mosquitoes.
Oh, okay, by deepening it to keep a better flow. Is that what they're
Yeah,
doing?
keep the water from impounding.
Yep.
Okay.
As I was mentioning to Elaine, my brother actually is a state engineer, and he actually delineated the wetlands back in the 70s. That was his first job. He went throughout the state and established all the 100-year, 300-year floods and everything. So very familiar with, and I've done many subdivisions. So I've worked with his whatever. Like I said, I already had planned and already recruited Mary before all this, before I got the letter. She said to me she should be out there this week. She's been busy. So we'll have a great, a good, I know every 4 years, if you're going to do it, so you'll have a new delineation and an accurate one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want to do with this then? With the enforcement order? I would, before we do anything, I would like to see that letter from the insurance company.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm not sure how.
I can tell you right now, they actually canceled the policy. I had to get a new insurance company after that. Even though, because like I said, then we had the issue with the fires and all that.
Yeah, right.
So now it's a new company. They have.
Okay, I think we should keep the enforcement order in place until we see what your delineation is, so that we know exactly what the impact is of the trees that you took down. Sounds like not much of an impact, but.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I didn't touch the vegetation, all I did was drop the trees.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
What does everyone think of that idea? Does someone have any more suggestions?
Well, I also think it would be good to get Elaine on the property and just take a look.
I agree. Elaine, did you say you were, I thought you said you were on the property.
I was.
Oh,
Can
I
you hear
did
me?
only from the street.
No. Once I did the enforcement order viewing the property from the street. In order to serve the enforcement order, I had to go on the property. So
I love that.
So anyway, I would be happy to go back on the property now that we have an ongoing enforcement order. Tell me exactly what you want me to look for, number of trees or whatever else it is, and I can report back to you. Just let me know what you want.
Yeah, number of trees and locations. And could you pull the original file?
Yes, I can.
And can you identify, just give us the trees that have not been cut that are proposed?
You got garbled. Can you say that again, Peter?
My understanding is there's some trees that have not yet been cut, but are proposed to be cut. And isn't part of this, isn't there to cut a few more trees involved here?
Okay.
Are those
Yes, I
trees,
can find that out.
are those trees to be cut shown on the property? Is there something on them to show they're going to be Those are the ones to be cut down?
They're about 9 feet, about 6 feet away, 7 feet away from the actual telephone pole where the one that did do the damage was next to them.
But are they
All
marked?
three, huh?
Are they marked?
I can mark them. Like I said, I just
That would be
didn't drop them. Okay, because I left those in because we were dealing with the insurance company and I did not want to take down the one that fell because it was still sitting actually on the wires and those there. So we left those and it's still ongoing with the insurance company. They're still fighting and disputing the payments in the whole 9 yards. That was the reason we didn't drop those yet, but they are, we could show, they're a little bit precarious and that's the reason that they should be taken down.
Yeah, could
Okay.
you put some tape or something around those ones?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I have no problem. I can mark them both. Yeah, there's two left that are, like I said, I would be considered just the way they're pitching and they're, like I said, the one that did fall was the one right next to it. They're not a very decent tree. There's nothing spectacular about them, but they could, especially where the area is open, wind could be, blow against them and they could fall into the wires again. Because the trees around the rest of it are all shading each other, so they help stop the wind from taking them down. So that was the reason we should, or at minimum, trim them down to nothing. Because like I said, I don't want to take a chance of having them fall onto the wires again.
Mhm. Okay.
So Elaine, your task is clear, yes?
Yes, I've got it all.
Great.
Okay.
All right, excellent. So you'll make arrangements to head out there?
Okay,
All right. All right, well, thank you.
Okay. All set?
Yeah, Elaine will contact you to make arrangements to come back out to the property.
Okay. And like I said, hopefully before that, Mary would have already marked the property.
That
So
would be
she'll
the
have,
idea, yes.
yeah,
yes.
that'll be, she'll have an excellent reference of what, where, and what to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Thank you.
All right, good night.
Good night. You too. Thank you all.
All right, I think that's all we have, at least on my updated agenda. Elena or Judy, do you have anything else?
Nope. Just a reminder that the light pollution seminar is next week.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Next Thursday.
Yep.
And Judy, do we have one more meeting with you before you?
Is it? No,
Oh, you're gonna keep on taking.
This is it?
Sorry.
No, Judy-
no, I'm going to keep doing the meetings. Yeah.
Judy's
No,
with us forever.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I've got to say, it's nice to see we have all 7 commissioners here tonight, which is nice.
And when is Rebecca going to join us?
Sometime in November.
early November.
Okay.
So Silvana, now that you've had a couple meetings under your belt, you think you'll be able to take all the excitement?
Actually, I think I do. I find it interesting. I want to be able to contribute.
That's a very generous, very generous.
Well, I want to be able to contribute, but right now I'm just recusing myself because I don't know the full background. Once I get,
It's a learning curve.
That's how each of us has learned. So
Yes. And I want to add too that Mr. Luciani paid me a visit this weekend.
He's your neighbor.
I know.
Hey, I'm your neighbor too, then.
Yeah,
I live 2 doors away from Jim.
Oh, no, sir.
Yeah.
On Wicker Lane. Okay. All right.
Did he bring you over like a fruit cake or something?
No, my doorbell rang and then my husband will answer the door and he says, "It's for you." So I walked out. So, and sure enough, Mr. Luciani was like, "I'm your neighbor." I was like, "I know." And then he asked me the main reason why I joined, and I told him, and he, because I was pretty much involved with the town when I first started with my backyard. I don't want to bore everybody, but I've had quite the experience, so I'm hoping that with a new, fresh set of eyes, that I can give some sort of perspective as one of being a recipient on the other end.
Mhm.
At the same time, being now a committee member. that I
You're a
have-
commissioner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I have more of a perspective, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Good.
Silvana, you had actually asked last time if we could kind of give a little brief,
yes, thank you. Yes.
each of us.
Yeah, just for 2 minutes, or even a minute.
So I'll lead off, since you already met Jimmy. So I've
I
been.
don't know Jimmy's background. He may be my neighbor, but I told him I'm going to hold him to it. He doesn't want.
well, I'm not, you can bypass me because I'm not doing this. I'll listen though to everyone.
Okay,
I'll give a biography on Jimmy.
good.
So let's see, I've been on the commission since 1999. I'm actually an industrial engineer by degree and background, but I haven't really been in the engineering world in a while. I'm manager of finance and IT at TJX companies. I do have a wastewater license, also treatment license, and I'm a lifelong resident of Wakefield. I actually joined in '99 replacing Teresa, who left, and obviously she's back.
The way
Yeah,
you have
she had an important job to do.
can go like that, right? That's right.
So yeah, 21 years ago, I replaced Teresa.
You know, but that's valuable because you want to be able to have people, even if they come back as many times as they do, they have the experience that will give sound decisions and not just somebody doing things on the whim, just to agree.
Right, and we have diversified backgrounds too,
Right.
which is, good to have also, on the commission. So Teresa, I just let off to you.
Yeah, so yeah, I moved to Wakefield in 1986. And I started on the commission. I'm just trying to think, maybe in the early 90s, mid 90s. And I just was interested in the area, and I met the then selectman at the time, Judy Babb, who and she recommended me to be appointed at the time. And then and again at that time, Jim was there, and so Elaine was the consultant. It was I had a good time, but I then adopted a baby, and I felt like I didn't have time. And I'm also a lawyer. I'm a real estate and corporate lawyer in Boston, so I couldn't do it all. So I dropped the Conservation Commission. Then Peter, actually, I'll just tell you, Peter and I rode the train together when people used to ride the trains. And he knew I was on the commission before, because we had got to talking, and he said that, there was an opening whenever he was coming back. So he got me back on. But that's what I guess I feel like my background as a lawyer and doing real estate helps a little bit in this role.
Great, thank you.
Peter, I guess you
Yeah.
segued right from Teresa.
Oh, from Teresa. That's great. So, Ivana, I've been on the commission for 10 years, and I also work in downtown Boston as a lawyer, but I'm not in real estate or in any area that relates to this. So one thing that I have in common with you is that when I started 10 years ago, really, I started at ground zero with no knowledge of, the technical aspects of conservation. And you learn as you go, and I'm sure you're going to make a big contribution to us. So
Thank you. Great.
See, Frank.
All right, I can go. I came on board in the early 2000s. I was recruited by John, how do you pronounce his last name? Ruwine,
Yeah, John.
Ruwine, who I graduated with. So I was recruited. I have a background in environmental consulting. So, we did a lot of wetlands work, sort of as an ancillary service to our regular stuff. So, again, came on board as a associate, not actually a full member, back when we actually did associates. And it was me and, was it Matt
Dave
Robbins?
Pearson.
And
Dave
Dave. I think we had 3 associates at the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we were going through the Shaw's filing when I first came on, and I tell you what, everything was just going over my head. There was so much going on, and it was just chaos at the meeting sometimes. Good thing Jimmy was there to keep things in line, but it's been, yeah, probably close to 20 years. Yeah, it just interesting. Good to see what's going on around town and being able to contribute.
Great. Ken?
I'm living in Wakefield about 14 years. I'm from Medford originally. I just joined the committee this year.
I'm from Medford originally.
Oh, really? Excellent.
Yes.
I think Jimmy calls me the new blood, right? Or the newspapers do.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
I've been
that.
here since 2008. So yeah. But
I have a similar background to Frank. I'm in environmental consulting. I'm a geologist who also has done some wetlands work and remediation and characterization and stuff like that. So I do have a little bit of a background, but there's always a lot to learn, and I'm getting there.
great, thank you.
So Jimmy, you want to say anything?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Jimmy, Jimmy's
That's all right. I'll find
father.
him. Don't worry. I'll find him.
Jimmy's
I'm
been here
afraid you might.
since the beginning. Jimmy's been here since day one.
I know. I got the little that I got from him on Sunday. I think I can put the pieces together.
Jimmy's got an engineering background.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
a
thanks.
carpenter, he's a builder.
Mhm. So Ivana, one thing that I liked when I started was that I always sat next to Elaine and at the meeting, so I could lean over and ask her a gazillion questions and drive her crazy. But I learned so much from, you learn a lot. Elaine is someone you learn so much from, and I'm sorry that we don't have in-person meetings, but if we do, then you should bump Teresa from that. Teresa
Yeah,
from
she seems extremely knowledgeable.
you can drive her crazy with the questions.
I'm assuming she's a lifelong Wakefield member too and longstanding commissioner from conservation. Is that what it is? Elaine?
Elaine's from Winchester.
Oh, really?
So yeah, she's our agent. So Elaine has had 2 tours with us. Elaine, want to give you a little biography?
Yes. So I started doing this back in I won't tell you how long I've been doing this, but a very long time. I started working in Wakefield, and I was and still am the part-time conservation agent for the town of Winchester, started in Winchester. And then after I'd been working in Winchester for a couple of years, I started working for Wakefield. And so since then, with a small break for a couple of years when I had a second child, I am the conservation agent for both Wakefield and Winchester. And I also have a legal background. And a lot of what I have learned, I've learned on the job, taking a lot of DEP courses and just building my skills that way. And after I left, another woman by the name of Rebecca Davis came on, and we job share. It's a 20-hour-a-week job. I take 10 hours, and Rebecca took 10 hours. Rebecca left. Judy took her place, and now that Judy has moved on during the day to the accounting department, Rebecca will be coming back in another couple of weeks.
And Rebecca spent 4
So
years
there you
in
go.
Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca, what?
Spent 4 years in Australia, right? Or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
No, she spent 1 year, and
Oh.
she's just, and then she stayed at home for another 2 years,
Okay.
and now she's coming back.
So Judy, you're the last one. You got
I record the commission meetings.
Okay.
Well, that was a lot. That was a.
Yeah, that was. Judy, you're more than that. Come on now.
That's funny.
Judy is a lifelong resident of Wakefield.
No, Bob fills in the blanks.
Good. That's why he is what he does.
Wakefield High graduate, Greenwood resident, expert on everything Wakefield related.
Mhm.
Our info source for anything we may wonder or question. Yes, and she's able to fill in the blanks on a lot of different things for us.
Judy's
Judy's been invaluable.
That's wonderful. That's great. Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it.
Will these go in the minutes, Judy?
What's that?
Are these going to go in the minutes?
Yes,
We never,
yes, it is.
Yeah,
They
that
are-
invaluable piece is gonna go right in the minutes.
Highlighted, bolded, extra large font.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
glad that Judy's still gonna be with us, at least in this capacity, for sure.
Great.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, if not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Savannah,
Third.
Ken,
Yes.
Frank,
yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Jimmy,
Yes.
and I also vote to adjourn. So good night, everybody, and
All
we'll
right. Good
see
night.
you next Thursday.
Yes.
Next
Bye-bye now.
Thursday.
Take care.
The
Right.
presentation.
Oh, yeah, at the right, yeah, right. Okay.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.